today we have the designer behind 5405 Porsche Renovation. This is Angelica.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yes, I'm excited. I'm gonna do a quick interview with Angelica just to find out more about your design process and your inspiration behind this amazing renovation.
All right.
Okay, well, let's start. So what inspired the vision for this renovation?
I think it was when we first, because you sold us our first house here in Austin, and just walking through all these homes, they had so much potential. It was like, oh, let's just do one for funsies, you know?
Yeah.
And then it's just kind of like an imaginary client. I just design a house for this imaginary person that's going to move into this house. So just find out a house that had good bones and needed TLC.
Did you have the buyer or the person in mind before you figured out what you were going to do with the house?
Not quite exactly the buyer, but just the type of look people are looking for. Because it could be an older couple or a couple with young children, or a couple that doesn't even want to have children, but that kind of like this nicely done homes, not going super expensive in the price, just looking custom, but not being like, oh my God, I can't afford $1 million home.
Right. I feel like we see a lot of quote unquote flips in Austin, and a lot of them I would say are on the lower end, and you do see some higher end, but we don't see a ton that are in this kind of middle range where we sit right now. And I, just for the audience, I don't call a home like this a flip. To me, this is a custom renovation because there was a lot of thought, time, and process put behind this. Can you give me a little bit of information about your background and your company and what you did before you did this project?
So I've been an interior designer for about 20 years or so, a little bit shy of 20 years. It all started because I wanted to start a furniture company, which I never did. I got into interior design school and I kind of fell in love with it. Accidentally, my first job was doing furniture, like design outdoor furniture. And then I started very, very high-end residential, like $36 million homes in Hawaii. Just accidentally.
Oh, wow, in Hawaii?
Yeah, well, all over the United States, just super boutique firms where, these people have a lot of money to spend, but everybody has a budget. So it was learning how to manage budgets, how to work with architects, lighting designers, and how to look at this, a home as a really custom place that you're really, really in love with.
Like an art piece.
Like an art piece, where it just translates down, right? So I started very high end, and then as I moved through my career, my friends started having money and having houses, being like, can you help me? So I had to apply all those same techniques to just normal people's homes.
Right.
And I just kind of loved it, creating something that looks beautiful and super expensive, but doesn't have to be incredibly expensive.
That's amazing. Can you walk us through your design process from concept to completion? And you can use this home.
So when we saw this home, it just looked kind of drabby. It looked taken care of, which made me like the home. It didn't look like somebody had been just, reckless with the home. But it was just a little old, a little drabby. I don't know, there was tile floors all over the house, and the paint was a little yellow. The kitchen was really closed out.
The layout was weird, I remember.
Yeah, the bathrooms were just
things.
I don't know, they just looked sad. It looked like it needed love, but it had great bones. I immediately was like, oh, this house could be great. There's this wall over here that everybody, when we first walked through the house, was like, are you gonna get rid of this wall? And I was like, no, this wall is key, because when you come in from the house, it kind of makes the public areas private.
Let's walk around.
Yeah.
And when you walk in from the front door.
Yeah, when you're walking in from the front door, and the front door is all glass, which is beautiful. The neighborhood's really pretty, but you come in and it gives privacy to the public areas, right? So I really liked it. I wanted to keep it, and it just creates little spaces while giving a lot of privacy.
That's awesome.
I also thought it was a great moment for art. It could also be a great moment for a big mirror, and as you're coming in or leaving the house, you can be like, how nice do I look?
So, were there any unexpected challenges that you faced?
Oh man, always. It's just, I always tell clients, plan for things are gonna happen. The floors, it was the style of floor. They took it all out. I knew it was gonna be expensive because there's a lot of labor involved with it. But as I took all the tile out, it turned out that the floors were not perfectly leveled. And in order to put wood, they need to be mostly leveled. So we have this beautiful white oak floor that required a ton of floating in order for it to be leveled. And that got a little pricey. So we were all like, ugh. But you know, things always happen. You just gotta be aware that you gotta roll with the punches as they come.
I always tell clients when they're renovation, or even like when you buy a house and you go to just start doing anything at all, there's a period of discovery is what I call it, because something's always gonna come up.
Yeah.
What are your favorite design features of this home?
I always start kind of with the kitchens and the bathroom. This kitchen is fully custom, and it was designed in mind with having a custom cabinet maker create this kitchen, right? When you buy semi-custom, you end up with a lot of little feeler pieces, and you don't end up having all the space and being able to use all the space.
Right.
I also wanted to use a big utility kitchen that has like a drying rack and a colander and your cutting table. And sometimes you can buy them smaller, but when they're smaller, you don't really get to use the accessories because there's not enough space to wash and use all this accessories.
You know, this has been one of the most commented pieces during our open houses, is people love this sink.
You need a big sink if you could.
Yeah.
Things that I think about that people don't think about, this is a push button for the garbage disposal, so you don't have a big ugly switch over here. The faucets, I try to tell clients to never put faucets that are bridge or have two knobs or things like that in the kitchen, because you have dirty hands, you're running, you want to just like go like that, right? So it makes life way easier.
I love that. So you think of the practicality along with the design.
Yeah, I think of all those things. That part over there next to the dishwasher, semi-custom cabinet makers would just be an ugly panel.
Oh yeah.
Here, this turns into a place where you can put cutting boards or cookie trays. You know, I don't have to waste all that space.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Our doors are made out of solid wood. It's solid white oak, and there's just so much more quality.
Okay, so one thing that I never think of, my buyers always say when they're looking at kitchens is, where does the trash can go?
Oh, well, here we have a very large 24-inch trash can with recycling and trash for it. So you have plenty of space to put your trash and nobody sees it.
So how did you prioritize which areas of the home to do first?
Always kitchens and baths. Like, I want to spend my good amount of the budget. I don't want to compromise in kitchen and baths. I want to, like, here I wanted to have a backsplash that went all the way up and have a little shelf, and that you know, adds up a little bit.
I love this feature. Like, I've not seen anyone do this here in Austin. It's really cool.
It's just
I mean, a lot of people do no cabinets up here or the floating shelves, but this is, I don't know, it's very cool.
The reason people don't do it is because it gets pricey, right? Because you need to buy your slabs, and then your slabs need to transition all the way up, and from that transition, then you need to have a shelf. So it starts adding
a lot of
material. It's a lot of granite. I use only natural stone. Granite is great because it's one of the only materials that really won't stain. There's so many engineered materials, and the vendors love telling clients, this won't stain. Lies. I haven't had a single one that doesn't stain. They all stain. But granite is, the stone is so close that it really is almost impossible to stain granite. So
talk more about the eco-friendly materials or your choice of materials.
Well,
in that respect,
some of them, the floor is engineered white oak. We're not using vinyl. Another lie that people tell clients with vinyl floors that they're waterproof and that they won't stain. Lies, because they're not waterproof. If enough water goes in it, the laminate, because the plastic that's creating the floor is a laminate, will pop into it. So if the water stays there for a couple of days, maybe a week, it's not waterproof, it will pop out. Gotcha. The other thing is, like, if vinyl floors scratch, you can't fix it. You need to find that
Right.
board and get it out. If a wood floor scratches, you can fix it, right? They can do a little sanding, they can do a little painting. You could sand the whole floors in this house once and have them stain a different color if you want.
Right.
So it really gives you a lot of like life for your floors,
Yeah.
and it will last longer. The cabinets are white oak instead of being some engineered material, which I like because they last longer.
Yeah.
So, and then the countertops, again, we talked about them. They are just, A, they're super strong, B, they're hard to stain.
Can you tell us about any custom pieces or very bespoke details that you included for this home specifically?
Wow, this home, again, we're in the kitchen. We have this hardware right here, which is a recessed pull. You put your finger and then you open it. It's a little bit more expensive to install because they have to create a custom template in order to carve it into the wood. But what this allowed me to do is that instead of having a huge piece right here for hardware so the hardware can pass,
Right.
you can have the drawers maximize
Right.
every single inch of the space right there. So you're talking about inches, but you know, when
That
your
makes
kitchen is
a
not
difference.
ginormous, a couple inches
Yeah.
matter.
For sure. And I hate it when you have a drawer that pops into another drawer. Like people don't.
That
don't
wouldn't
think
be
of that.
great. We have a pot filler, which is just a gorgeous piece of jewelry for the kitchen, but
Yeah.
also super practical when you're
I
like,
love that you use the word jewelry. Obviously, I love jewelry, but I always tell clients like lighting, your hardware, those kinds of things are the jewelry of the home and make such a huge difference.
so nothing in terms of lighting or hardware is gonna be, your contractor grade in this house.
Right.
The hardware in this kitchen is made out of solid brass, and I picked also unplated, which means that this is gonna age like, homes in Europe. It's gonna have a wear and tear, and it's gonna
cool.
look really, really pretty.
I love
I don't
that.
do the same thing for the faucet just because I couldn't find one that I really loved that had that live finish. So the faucet, and both faucets won't have that, but the hardware is just gonna age so beautifully.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Tell me more about this part of the kitchen, because I know like when you bought the house, this was a countertop and the entrance to the kitchen was over here.
Yeah.
This was so smart because it just felt like a little
And there was a
cave
silly little
before.
pantry in the corner.
Yeah, it felt like a cave before. But like how did you come up with this? 'Cause
So-
this is so beautiful.
This, we had to have a true counter depth refrigerator, and here we went a little crazy and we used the Zero, which is kind of a pricey brand, but what it gives us is that it really just stays to the depth of the countertops. It doesn't project out.
Yeah.
And just because this type of refrigerators are engineered in an amazing way, when you look inside the refrigerator, you have even more space than the average refrigerator that people go and buy at
Right.
like Home Depot, right?
Yeah.
So you get a ton of storage, a lot of quality, and it doesn't project all the way out.
Yeah.
And then we created this pantries that right now, at the top part of it where the glass is, we have it staged as a vitrine. So you would put your like dishes and stemware and glasses in here if that was your thought. But the bottom part, we thought it could be more like a pantry. We have this great
Yeah, this is so
rollouts and
smart.
things like that. But you could also just flip it, right? Where you could like, if you are the type of person that likes buying these beautiful jars where you put all your
Yeah.
pantry stuff, it could all be displayed
Yeah,
up top, and you could move your
envision that.
dishes to one of these drawers over here, right? Like there's just a ton of options. We
Yeah.
also designed this pantry to have light in it. So at night you could have just the vitrine light on and maybe the sconces, and it's just soft, natural, beautiful light. We did add the skylights, which just brings so much light to this kitchen because we
Yeah.
didn't want it to be a cave. We wanted it to be like bright and
Right.
open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you did an amazing job.
Thank you.
And it feels functional, and it feels spacious, and it feels grand. Like I feel like this is something that, I mean, we all know kitchens are obviously what is one of the major things that sells a home, but this creates so much value for this house. What advice would you give a homeowner who's looking to do a remodel or renovation?
make sure you
hire
have
a designer.
well, for sure. Hire a designer. Interview your contractors really, really well. Because some of them will tell you like, oh, we're only gonna do it for $5, and everything else it is an add-on. So you end up going for the $5 contractor instead of the $15 contractor. And the $5 contractor gives you less quality, and at the end of the day, you'll pay the $15. Just, you really gotta interview all your contractors, and I mean, have an architect or a designer or someone that's gonna be in your team really asking you questions and leading you through the decisions.
What about choices in materials and just, you know, I mean, the way you design this kitchen, I feel like is very approachable to almost any buyer. It's you've done some neutral things, but they're still very elegant and have style. What would you advise people who just don't know what?
It depends on the person, right, and what they want to do with their house. This house was designed to kind of look transitional, is what we call it. So it's not super traditional kitchen, but it's not a super modern kitchen. And the whole look of the whole house is that it's meant to age well. Like if you see this house 15 years from now, it still looks really pretty, right? The shaker cabinets never go out of style, ever. The wood, you could stain it later if you're like, I don't want to see the natural wood, or you could paint it, so you can really quickly just change the look of the kitchen very, very quickly. Marbles never go out of style, so that just is very easy to live with. The hardwood floor, not hardwood, but the engineer wood floors, those never go out of style. I pick light colors in the floors. They're warm, they're light, they invite a lot of like freshness to the house, but they're also way less dirty. They don't show as much dirt. So, I mean, people sometimes will be like, I love a dark floor. I'm like, as long as you know that the floor is always going to look dirty, let's do it, right?
I have a dark floor. Yeah, I have a dark floor in my house, and it's terrible.
So that's why I tend to like go for lighter floors. Yeah,
awesome. One thing I love that you did to this house that most people don't put enough thought into is the laundry room.
Oh yeah.
Follow us. We're going to show you one of the most amazing laundry rooms I've seen, especially in a home in this price point. Tell us about this space.
So this space, from the moment we walked into a house, I was like, oh, this is dumb, because they had
I don't even remember what it looked like.
It was flipped. So there was just a washer and dryer right where you're standing, and the rest was wasted space. You couldn't really do anything with it because the washer and dryer projected, but you have that wall over there that kind of creates a nook for the washer and dryer. So what we did was flip everything, and it gave us space for this beautiful sink. And just like everybody, I love a bridge sink, and a laundry room is a great place to do it because you're not running around with your hands super dirty. You can use both hands to turn it, and then we did this beautiful pull down that sits independent. So it's just like gorgeous. We put some Solige tile, which is very contemporary and very fun. People love it. We left some things up to like the buyer, right? They could add wallpaper. You could end up deciding to add shelves here and have baskets. You could also just put a rod. It could be a pretty brass rod. So if you're the type of person that hangs things to dry, you could hang things to dry. The bottom part of our tall cabinet is meant to be like a broom closet. So we don't have a lot of shelves over there. So you're able to store all that. And in the top part is the sign where you put your soap and all that type of stuff. Because nobody wants to see your brooms. Just put them away.
Yeah, I love it. Another feature that you changed that I thought was super smart and adds a lot of value to the house is the primary bathroom.
Okay.
This house was built in 83.
You'll know better.
I think it was 1983. So y'all, in the 70s and 80s, they were not focused on grand bathrooms. They were very small and functional, terrible layouts, usually awkward in how they were transitioned into the bedroom, but you'll need to come see this because she did something very special. Okay, so here we are. You know what, I'm gonna walk into the shower because this is why it's so cool. So you added this skylight.
Well, you're sitting on what used to be a closet. So we're standing in
Oh, that's
Dawn
right.
City closet.
Okay.
And it had no light, obviously, and there's not enough storage for anybody to be a primary closet. So I thought this space can give you a really, really large shower, and it would be so fun. The natural light, I grew up in Mexico City, they do that a lot over there. Having the natural light in the shower is just such a cool
It is. It's
And it
awesome.
also adds a lot of natural light to the vanity area when you're like, putting your makeup on and stuff like that.
I didn't think about it. Like in the morning, when you get in the shower and you're waking up, this is like an added benefit.
Yeah.
Sunlight immediately in your
Directly
face.
into your eyes. Yeah.
Tell me about the walls.
The walls are waterproof plaster, so it's this really, it's been done for centuries. If you are in the Mediterranean or in like Mexico and places like that, they have it all over the place. But it's this really fun, design element that has started to become really popular here in Austin.
Yeah.
So I thought, why not, instead of like covering everything with grout and tile, let's just have this like really fresh, beautiful thing.
Yeah, it's so clean and nice. It's simple, but elegant, very elegant.
We also did a custom vanity here to maximize the space, and we have this reeded material that's just like super pretty. We have the oak reeded, and then a fun, not really perfectly shaped mirror.
Yeah.
And in homage to our plaster in the walls, the light fixtures also have plaster, and they kind of reference the pendant over the dining room because they have that same shape. So we have like this circulation of things throughout the house.
I love that there's some consistency with fixtures because I think a lot of times people
don't think about
that, right? They're like, there's a light fixture here and a light fixture there, and they don't always kind of carry through a theme.
That's part of like the custom design, right? Carrying it through. We have the white oak here again. We have the polished brass here again. So it starts sort of repeating the story. We hardly ever do any black fixtures in wet areas because in order for them to actually last, they need to be very expensive. It needs to be a live finish, and you need to be able to actually clean it. Where most inexpensive fixtures that are black, it's this plated finish that immediately is going to start showing the minerals in the water, white shapes. So you have this white contrast in your black fixtures that always looks super ugly, and you would have to clean it daily for that not to be super obvious. And not only that, with time it starts scraping, and when it's scraped, all those are naturally brass below it, so now you have brass showing under a black fixture, and it just looks ugly.
I did that in my kitchen and had to replace a fixture after about 4 years because it just looked terrible. But
so if you're willing to spend the like $1,700 that a true light finish will cost, by all means, let's do a black fixture. But unless your budget is close to $2,000, don't do that to yourself.
Yeah, awesome. This is a 4-bedroom house, and I know there's a big misconception that a room has to have a closet to be called a bedroom. That is not entirely true. It has to have egress, which means there's a door or a window to the outside. So you, to create a bigger footprint for the kitchen, took the closet out of this room.
Yeah. And then when we were thinking about this room, we were like, yeah, sure, we can add a closet, but it's already a 4-bedroom house. The other 3-bedroom had closets. So we were just like really thinking, how would you use that room? And we wanted to give flexibility to people, right? This could be a big office. This could be a playroom if you have young kids. If you have young kids, they could have like a really nice bunk bed in the smaller bedroom, and then you have a guest bedroom in the large bedroom. If we did end up doing the closet, what we were gonna do was over here where the dresser is, there's more than enough space for a closet. And we were gonna do a built-in either painted or white oak closet that had kind of 2 bays, one for long hanging, and then on the next one, shirt hanging above and drawers in the bottom. And what we thought would be really cool is if it came down to like a little desk right there.
I like that there's flexibility, but I also like, as a designer and a seller, that you're willing to put that in for the buyer if that's a request.
I mean, if they're really like, we need an extra closet, we're like, sure, let's design it. And they might want to do the closet over there. Let's talk about how they actually use the space and what they need. Or they might want a 3rd bay instead of a desk.
Yeah, true. Okay, so the other thing that I love that you reimagined for this house, which I think is super important for buyers here, in Austin, well, I guess everywhere, people like to be outside. And so outdoor spaces add a ton of value to a house.
Yeah.
And I think it's often overlooked by people who do renovations or flips, your typical flippers, which you're not. So I want to let's take the audience into the backyard and just kind of talk about what the before and after was. Okay. How did you come up with this? This is like such a great idea.
Well, we start like from the exterior, we painted the house a real neutral white. People always make a mistake with the whites. This is Cloud White by Benjamin Moore. And it's just a really beautiful neutral white that is bright, but it doesn't look yellow and it doesn't look really cold. Because Austin is very sunny, so the sun's really bright.
Yeah.
If you pick the wrong white, it just looks so like a hospital. So we wanted it to be warm and pretty. That was our first decision over here. And then when it comes to the backyard, we were like, it's Austin, it gets really hot. We need to minimize the amount of grass, but also create great spaces for people. So created this like nice curb with some bark over there for the trees. The bark allows water to go through, but then you don't have all this grass in the shaded area of the trees that you have to water, and it always looks kind of bad.
Yeah.
And if people wanted, they could add more landscaping in that area, like plants or flowers. We minimized the amount of grass. We added this fire pit gravel area, which is like super fun. And then we always wanted a cowboy pool. We were like, this house needs a cowboy pool.
Yeah.
It's so hot,
People love their cowboy pools here.
And
in
it's
Austin.
way less maintenance on a huge pool. A huge pool just it's a lot of maintenance.
Yeah.
And then we were like, let's add a shed, right? We thought about it almost from the beginning when I walked this house with you. I was like, it kind of needs a shed in that corner.
Yeah.
And this is what, you could call it an ADU, but it's basically a glorified shed. It's like built like any house is, so it has insulation and all that fun stuff. We have a little split unit over there, so it can have heat or AC in the summer, because we have freezes, so we want it to be nice. And right now we stage it as a workout room. I know but I definitely want to kick out my Peloton out of my bedroom. So I would love to have a little shed to put that, but it could also be an office. It could be a playroom. I don't think it could be a guest bedroom because there's no bathroom there, but if you really don't ask your guests and want them to leave, you can send them to the shed.
Exactly.
Could be an art studio.
A little workshop. I think that adds a lot of value, especially a lot of people do still work from home, and so that gives you options. Or if you've got a bunch of kids and this is all your rooms are full with children, home office, adult escape room,
meditation area. Don't talk to me when I'm in the shed.
Exactly.
And
I love that.
That one we painted black. This is Black Beauty by Benjamin Moore, and we like the contrast between the black beauty and the white. So it just created a little darker moment over there.
It's really beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Ooh, it's hot out here.
It is.